You know, and I know that we are not born to be wild, my sisters. My girlfriends, we're not meant to be out there. This is a terrible stage that we're living in this day and age. It's crazy. There's wars, there's turmoil, there's thieves outside, there's men that are just using us. I admit, some of you could think that I'm just supporting the men, but it's not true. I know that so many of my friends and my colleague girlfriends and the people that speak with me, you've gone through a lot of banging, a lot of bruises because of the environment that you were raised in the wild, right? We women are not born to be wild. Matter of fact, literally, you're homeless. You might think you have a house, but you actually, if you were a woman without a shepherd, without a head, without a dad, without a cover, seems to be the growing theme of Call for Wisdom. Welcome to Call for Wisdom, my sisters. My name is Deborah, and we're going to be talking to Yah-fearing women. And if you're not a believer in Yah, you might not understand me, but just, listen. Maybe it'll edify you anyway. But for my sisters who are, I'm always going to repeat to you until you get it through your head that you need to find cover. Now, let's go over it again, okay? When I talk about born to be wild, I am referring to the analogy like a sheep, right? We women are seen like sheep. Imagine a sheep that was born in the wild by a mother in the wild, right? This is an analogy of single mothers. Or if you were born in a home where your father left your family really quickly after you were born, and for whatever reason, like maybe he abandoned your mom, or maybe your mom put him out, or maybe he was abusive, and there's several reasons why. But we are living in an age where there has been a war against the family. You know that, especially if you're 40 years old. I don't need to repeat this. You know it's true. There's been a planned war against the family to destroy the headship, to destroy the plan of the Most High, how He set up family for us women, to protect us women and the children. Like we are the weakest vessels in this whole scenario. Men actually can be okay in the wild. If you look at lions, some lions have packs, right? They have a couple females and children, and some of them are lone and they just go on their own and they can survive longer. They don't necessarily have to have a pack of female lionesses, right? But we women, we know that we were not made this way. Let's think about Adam and Eve, going right back to the beginning. When we reflect on that, right, you could see that the Most High didn't make didn't make Eve first. He made Adam first. He set up everything. He gave him the capacity to run the garden and to name the animals. And he had a mission and he was communing with the Most High. He was communing and he was in that state of mind, okay, when the Most High said it was not good for him to be alone. So out of Adam came Eve. So we women have never been independent from a man. We came out of a man. We have never been independent from a man. And Yah didn't make Eve separate from a man. He made sure that she had everything ready for her before she was even created. And then she presented, like a father presents a daughter, to Adam, right? In a state where she was already in a protective hedge because Adam was the head over her. He was actually responsible for teaching her the Torah and the laws. Nowhere in scripture did it say that Yah spoke directly to Eve. He spoke directly to Adam, and Adam was responsible to convey that and to teach his wife the rules and regulations. Did she listen? We know how that ended, right? She got rebellious. She didn't listen, but she did listen to the deceitful ears of the serpent. But the whole point is that she came out of him and she was never born to be wild. And we women are not created to be independent of men, independent of a man. We are not created to be out there right now homeless. And I know you're telling me I have a house, Deborah. I have a fancy condo downtown Toronto, downtown New York. I got my bag. I got my money. I got a great job. I got a good car. I don't tell me I'm homeless. I'm not homeless. I got this great cushiony job that, by the way, they could fire you any day. But fine, you got your own business maybe. You think that you're all cool, right? Because you have some sense of false security in the fact that you are becoming so comfortable in the wild, you've forgotten that you're in the wild. Without the headship of a man over you, you are homeless, my sisters. Without a headship of a man over you, you're like in the war zone of 2024, and literally it is a war zone of propaganda, of indoctrination, of the feminist mentality, of lies and stories and false doctrines, a war zone attacking you, attacking your children, and there is no strong male leadership in your life. Without that, you are walking around like a headless monster. Or walking around like a soldier, which you shouldn't even be a soldier as a female. You should be safely at home, but you're walking around like a soldier, but without any helmet of protection. So there's bullets flying all the time. Boom, 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 boom. You're ducking, but you're getting shot. And there's no medic. You're getting shot. You're getting hit. You're getting banned. You're getting children. You're getting left. You're getting pumped. You're getting dumped. You're getting all kinds of STDs, you're getting body counts going high, then you're getting bitter because of all the bruises. And now you can't stand men, you can't stand the thought of me talking about submitting to a man. Oh, I've gone through too much. This is what you're telling me, and I hear you. You've gone through too much. You're a bruised soldier. And why are you even on the battlefield, my sister? You were not born to be out there. You were not born that way, especially Yah-bearing daughters. Not all of us are Yah-bearing. I know not all. So the majority of the people that are listening to you may not be. So you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you follow the Torah, and I'm all about reading scripture, so we will open it today. That's the Bible, right? I like to call it the Torah. We're going to read Revelation chapter 3 nearing the end. And I'm going to explain to you what condition you're in. But this is part 2 of a 2-part series. So the analogy of getting in our head that we were not supposed to be outside, we were not supposed to be outside of the headship of a man, without the covering of a man, the protection of a Yah-fearing man. Because we are not living in that state of mind, in this modern society, we think that this is outdated, what I'm talking about. This is like old fashioned. You read the Old Testament and you think that this is expired, that this is an old culture, that the Hebrew culture is an old culture, that following the Torah is outdated, that following the rules and regulations of the commands of Yah are outdated. So when Paul says in Corinthians, 1 Corinthians, that the man is the head over a woman, you're thinking, oh, so outdated. Oh, I'm good on my own, right? I'm good. I don't need no man. And some of you are taking that out of your vocabulary, but you're still living it in your heart because you're refusing to even contemplate any deeper than a passing thought. All you think, first of all, is that man is probably just good for sex and a little bit of hugs and snuggles and to give you the child support bill. Otherwise, you don't want him in your life. Because dare he try to say anything about what you should do or say, you say that he's commanding you, right? And when I'm saying this, my sisters, I understand that it might come around like judging you, which probably you're right. But I'm speaking to myself too. Let me give you a disclaimer before I continue in this little conversation. And you men who are following, you probably think get to the point. Well, the point is that we're hanging out as sisters, and I'm going to cover a variety of topics about this, okay? So grab a cup of tea. But let me just say this from the beginning. Disclaimer, I am well covered. I have a head over me, right? The leadership and headship of me is very private, so I do not talk about it. But he is legally my head, and he's my family, all right? So I'm not going to go into any more details about that. He's the paternal head of my household and me. So I leave him to be there, and I respect him. But I want you all to know that I'm speaking out of experience, and very little in my whole entire life have I been without a head. Because it's like trying to go and survive on the world, in the wild, and not get any bruises and because you have no helmet. You stepped outside of your door and you're in the wild and you have no protection, no shepherd. Now, in the analogy of a war zone, you also don't have a uniform, a cover, right? So if I am walking around, I'm going to get some shots because nobody knows who I belong to. I don't have the uniform of my family. Now, I live in the Caribbean. That's enough said. I live on a beautiful island and I have a big, 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 big family. People see me, they see how I look, they see my features, they know who my family is. They will respect that and they probably know who my head is. They respect that, right? Because I have a uniform on me. They can see that. And you, my sisters who are living in the West, a lot of you do not have the sense of belonging. You do not belong to any man. You do not belong to any cover that his head is over you, that his headship, like a helmet, a protection, and his uniform with the house of Abraham, house of Jacob, house of John, house of Paul, house of Bernard, you name it, right? On you, so that when a man comes around and wonders about you, they'll say, "Well, who do you belong to, sister?" And you'll say, "Well, see, I belong here. You want to inquire about me? Huh, I will let you know. You have to go talk to my head first." I know I'm speaking a foreign language to those of you in the West. Those of you in the other more traditional cultures, you know what I'm talking about. A man wants to be in your life in a romantic way. They have to, they have to go first through the screening of the head of you. All right? That is normal in most cultures in other societies outside of the West. And it doesn't just start when he wants to ask you for marriage. It starts from courtship, any kind of interest. Because why? Because the man in charge of you, over you, is responsible for your well-being. Whether or not you get knocked up, whether or not this man is going to use you and abuse you, he is standing in between to protect you from that. He's supposed to, especially now that we are getting into the revelation of how the Most High is restoring us as believers, the children of Zion. He's restoring it, and the men are waking up and realizing that they have a deep, deep responsibility for us women again. They're realizing that they've been indoctrinated as well, and they've been brainwashed as well by the feminist ideology. And now they see themselves responsible for the damage it has caused their daughters. And that's why these women, like us, are out there in the wild, because they have not yet, very few of them have not yet woken up to the fact that they are responsible for being the heads over us. Now, there's different ways a man can be a head. He doesn't have to be a married partner. My father wasn't married to me, but he does tend to me, right? He passed away, but the whole point is that he does not have to be. Now, I have had discussions in the chats, which I do not wish to go through in this episode. We spent 2 hours with Brother Michael in the Marriage Questions from the Daughters of Zion episode. Please look at it, talking about covering. And we are continuing that conversation coming up very soon. You'll see it popping up on my channel. And more conversations again. Saturday, if you are here next Sabbath with me, we'll be on Brother Mike's Digging in the Word. And he's going to continue talking all about these things. They'll be coming in the chats, not particularly directly to the topic of Sabbath, Sunday, but Sabbath meeting. However, it always comes up how we women need to be under the headship of the patriarchy of Yah in the way he set it up. Okay? So keep on being fed this way. But I like to talk about covering also with brothers around so that they can give you a good balance about it. But continuing the conversation about us being wild out there without a head and how we're not supposed to be, let's reflect about the last episode I had about our tendencies to fall hard for a crash and then to burn, right? The infatuation. That is quite natural in a woman, that when we have our eyes set on a man and we have him in our heart, we really want him. That is a good thing in the sense that it can help you bond to the man if you got the permission from your head to go ahead and interact with this man. It will help you bond with him because initially you will want to have him as your husband, and when he takes you as your husband, and especially if you've had no other sexual relationships with anybody else, that'd be great if you were a virgin. Very rare in these days and age, but the less the body count, the better. It will help the oxytocin in your body bond with the new shepherd, and your infatuation mixed with the hormone called oxytocin and serotonin and dopamine all these interactions with him, these hormones build up within you and they help you really attach to this man as your head, as your shepherd, and you really don't want to leave him. And that's why you find people in long-term relationships, like 20, 25 years long relationships. If you ask the woman how many sexual partners she had before she met the man, it's very little. If you have to ask secretly, because you know we know we tend to lie as women when it comes to body count. But still, the majority of traditional cultures, when the woman is a virgin when she got married or had just one partner for some reason, and she met the other one that became her husband, she could stick to that relationship for a long term because you got a strong boost of oxytocin and bonding going on that makes it really, really good for her so that she is able to maintain that relationship with her partner, with her husband for a long time. Okay? But us modern day women, it's a totally different scenario. Because if you have been out in the wild, out there, born to be wild, and you've never had a shelter, then the chances of you now recovering from your bruises on your own is very slim to none. Think of it this way. I'm talking to a group of sheep, right? Literally, a group of sheep. And these sheep are in the wild. And I'm telling them, you gotta watch out for the foxes. Watch out over there. There's a guy with a shotgun who wants you for dinner. Yeah, look over there. There's a pitfall over there. A whole bunch of snakes gonna strangle you up. Oh yeah, and you over there with that beautiful white stuff you got there called wool. You better be careful because there's a man over there who just wants to shear that wool and he'll leave you out there in the field. He'll never take you home. So the sheep are like, oh, okay, we're strong and independent sheep. We're strong and independent. We could do this on our own. And all of them get slaughtered. All of them get used. All of them. Very few women in this society have not gone through the battlefield and come out unscathed. Ask your sisterhood. Ask your girlfriends. You know what I'm talking about. We've all gone through it, and we've all come out with the evidence of going through it. And if we were so good at picking partners, if we were truly good at it, why is the single motherhood rate so high? Why are there so many baby mamas and no daddies hanging around living with the parents? Who's the one who's divorcing? Like 80%, did you know that statistic? 80% of divorces are initiated by women. The women are kicking the men out, breaking their own homes, making themselves homeless. It's ironic. So if you kick the man out of your house, but in a spiritual sense, in the Torah sense, you have now made yourself homeless because you didn't kick him out. You left him because he's the shepherd. You can't actually kick the shepherd out. It's the sheep that leaves the shepherd's field. You know? Imagine that, right? There's a shepherd who has a field, and then the delusion of the sheep is that he kicked the shepherd out of the man's field and locked the door. That's the delusion that we think. We've kicked these men out of our lives. It's really not so. We belong to them. So if you have broken up with a husband or boyfriend, whatever the definition of your long-term relationship was, according to Torah, my sisters, unless he gave you a bill of divorce, you were the one who left the field. That's how it is. So now you are now homeless. Now what do you do with all that burning desire? Because when we are women, we have natural tendencies to get crushes and to burn with desire for a man that we are interested in. I'm not talking about the ones you don't care about. That is a dangerous thing. If you do not have a cover, you're always going to choose the man that gets you on fire, the one that you are infatuated with. You're always going to choose that man. And then you're going to tell me, Sister Deborah, oh, but he's great. He's wonderful. He's the best thing I've ever seen. And you're going to tell me about all his great qualities and how he meets all these hypergamous needs of yours. Then you're going to tell me how, you could fix the things that are broken. Let's say he's an alcoholic or he's a little bit curses. Maybe he's not even saved and you think you could save him. Like, they could follow the Torah. Well, you tell me all kinds of stories about his flaws, but then you say, well, he's a fixer-upper. So you take him anyway. right? But the whole point is that you take him and you don't run him through anybody else. This is an independent decision that you made on your own, taking the risk all on your own, without a helmet, without a cover of any man over you because you have nobody in charge of you. My sisters, this is a dangerous thing to have that because your infatuation and your crush will make you blind. Blind, blind, blind to the reality of this other guy that you're interested in. And then it's the other point is that all of a sudden, when you really, really desire him, it doesn't take much, right? Let's say you saw him in your chat, you chatted a little bit, and then he starts touching you. Remember I said that last time. And flirting goes to touching, touching goes to the bedroom. It that's the reality of it. Again, it was supposed to be the natural progression of it. So hypocritical Christians like to say that somehow we have the self-discipline to make that stop. And that's why we fool ourselves when we end up slipping into it, especially as women. Now, maybe men have more self-control in that regard, but we know that as women that it doesn't take much for us to drop the panties. I'm allowed to say that. For the chats, for the guys that are handsome, the ones that we have genuine burning desire for, we do not make them wait. They don't need to wait. They don't need to wait for 3 dates. They don't even wait for 3 months. If you really, really like the guy, the infatuation takes over. That's what happens. And so the weakness happens. And then oh my goodness, I didn't use protection. And then, oh my goodness, I'm pregnant. Then knocking on the guy's door saying, hey, you want to consider making this a long-term deal? And he goes, no, 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 no. That was just fun. And you didn't have that conversation before because you're following the worldly ways of things, and you didn't run it through a head because you don't have a head, you don't have a captain, you don't have anybody in charge of you to be accountable for. So you went by your feelings. Oh, my feelings. Oh, he just had everything going, and I'm sure it was a great experience that lasted like a day, but at the end of the day you got a broken heart, right? And this pattern repeats as you have fun in the candy store, trying out all the flavors, and the more flavors of men that you try out because you were attracted to them, the harder it becomes to settle on any of them because now you've tried way too many to be content anymore. And so you've actually broken your ability to bond with a man if you've had too many. I've said this before, I could send you the scientific reviews about it. We'll probably have to do that in another episode. High body counts and too much sexual experiences, especially if you have done that already, is going to hinder your ability to bond with the shepherd of the man in a sexual way and to be stay in his protection because you're going to be tempted to try out another flavor that you didn't have. And again, you're running only on your emotions, right? And you've never learned to surrender to a man because you have been born in the wild, living in the wild. You've never learned the submission part of the headship of a man. Now, what's the solution? The solution is for you to come inside. Oh my goodness, sisters, you got to come inside. You got to come back to the Father. Come back to the ways of Yah. It is not old-fashioned. It's not outdated, what I'm talking about. And I'm going to tell you this because the Revelations is the last book of the Torah, the Bible. It's saying, the last book of the Bible, Yeshua is speaking to John, speaking to the last church called Laodicea. And we're going to turn it right now. And he's going to explain to them the state that they're in currently. And I think this reflects really well the state that we sisters are in currently. Okay? So let's open up the Torah to Revelation chapter 3. And I'm going to read this with you, okay? Revelation chapter 3. It starts at verse 14. The message to the Lacedaemonians. To the angel of the church in Lacedaemon. Forgive me, I'm really feeling tongue-tied today. Laodicea. Right. The Amen and the faithful, the true witness, the beginning of creation of God says this. I know your deeds, that you are neither cold nor hot. I wish that you were cold or hot. So because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. Now I'm going to continue, but this is just to verse 16. I'm sure you've read this before, especially if you're a mature Christian. Did you know that this particular scripture doesn't necessarily mean that Yeshua is asking, Jesus is asking the disciples to be cold? He said hot or cold. I'd rather you be hot or cold. Because you're lukewarm, he's going to spit them out of their mouth. He's going to reject them. Now, I am a therapist in my day-to-day practice. And I also know a lot about herbal medicines and about heat therapy. I have a sauna. I know the benefit of that. I also know the benefit of ice cold therapy. Sitting in ice, having cooler things to cool the body when it's overheated. There is a benefit, a medical benefit of things that are very, very hot for the body, like hot spices, hot peppers, hot herbs. And there's also a benefit of things that are very cool and refreshing for the body, like having a dip in the cool springs, going to the river, that we have a lot of rivers here, in the ice cold, dipping yourself in an ice bath. These are medical, these are traditional medical ways of healing the individual. And I'm sure Yeshua knew that because they used to use traditional ways of healing as well. So when somebody is hot, it could be healing. When something is cold, it could also be healing, it could be refreshing. But when something is lukewarm, in most cases it's useless. Absolutely useless. You're not good for anything. Right? And this is what he's trying to say. Not that he wants you to be cold in your faith. He wants you to be useful, my sister. Hot, hot, hot is good. Cold, cold, cold in a medical sense is also very good. But lukewarm, in between, neither one of them, you're useless. My sisters, get that revelation as we continue. Verse 17. Because you say, I am rich and have become wealthy, and I have need of nothing. Yeah, you got all the bags, you got all the money, you don't need anything. And you do not know that you are wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked. You don't know this conditions that you're in. Because you don't know the condition that you're in of all these things, I advise you to buy from me gold refined by fire, so that you may become rich, and white garments, so that you may clothe yourself, and that the shame of your nakedness will not be revealed, and the eye salves to anoint your eyes, so that you may see. Those whom I love I reprove and discipline. Therefore be zealous and repent. My sisters, I think this word applies to us because we sisters, as women, are walking around naked. And I'm not just talking about the skimpy dresses. I'm talking about naked because you don't have a covering. You don't have a man. You don't have a husband or a father, a head over you. You don't have that protection. You are living in the wild. And because you think you have a condo, you have a car, you're working for a bank, you got your degrees, you think that you're all cool. But I advise you to get some salve, some medicine on your eyes that actually will reveal your condition. And I pray that you get that medicine put right away, because we're living in dangerous times. Unless the Most High, the Ruach, opens your eyes to see your condition that you're in right now, you will realize that you're a homeless woman. You're literally homeless without being under the covering of a man. And you're actually walking around naked because you do not have the protection. You don't have the uniform of what tribe you belong to, my sister. Who do you belong to? Who are you submitting to? Who are you passing things to? You're making all these kind of decisions in life. You're building your homes. You're making your plans without running it through anybody. You're doing everything on your own. And this is not the way women, Yah-fearing women, are supposed to be living. This is not what Yah had intended for us. I hope and pray that you get that revelation, because when you do that, you realize that there's a desperate situation right now. I don't have time to be wasting. Let me take what Sister Deborah's taking. Take it seriously. Let me go and find out in my network of friends, my network of people in my life, my family, my network that is literally there within my capacity. Pray and fast about who the Most High is leading you to approach for that headship. Continue following me on Call for Wisdom so that you'll be able to understand further about the importance of it. The reason I say that is because the devil wants to destroy you, my sisters, just like he's destroying the rest of the world, and you are no stronger than they are. You are no better than they are. You're confusing them with, you think that you somehow, because you're not on Only Fools, and somehow because you're not in the strip club, and somehow because you're not doing what they're doing, that you have more clothes on. But you don't. And the only thing that is protecting you right now is the grace and mercy of Yah calling you, my sisters, for you to see, for you to understand, because the time is short, and unless we fall in line in our heart, we are not ready to talk to the children of the world. We can't correct them, we can't lead them to salvation, we can't help them in the faith unless we fall in line and fall in order, right? Now, I spoke about this before. I know that you heard it many times and you're going to continue hearing it. But if you do one day wake up with that revelation, the next thing is to do is to approach the man that the Most High is leading you to for coverage. I'm going to be continuing this episode more with Brother Michael, and we will talk about the qualifications of this particular cover and how you're supposed to submit to him, how you're supposed to obey, what impact that makes and how that changes your life around, what's his responsibility, and why this will change you as a woman and why you will develop in your spiritual life as that. But pertaining to your crushes and your infatuation and the fact that you've been stumbling over these relationships, being under the proper headship of a man will at least protect you, should help protect you from all this folly, especially if you submit to him and don't keep on jumping out of the field, right? Come back home. Come home. I love you, sisters. Thank you for listening to Call for Wisdom. My name is Deborah. May you have blessings and let the Most High continue to reach out to you.